and welcome to Robin's long-awaited Straw Hat Appreciation video. And I know it has been a while, but I am joined that way by my boyfriend Isaac.
Hello.
You may recognize his lovely non-face voice in some of my Attack on Titan videos. Him and our friend Dusty play games on Twitch and watch Attack on Titan, so yeah, he's here to talk about Robin. Best girl, right?
Absolutely the best girl.
That's what I like to
probably
hear.
my favorite character in One Piece.
So,
overall.
Yeah. So I picked the right person to represent Robin as we go through every arc, including her backstory, and then ending with what the future of Robin will look like. So make sure you subscribe.
Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe so you'll be notified of the next Straw Hat, which will be Franky. If you haven't seen my Chopper video, that was my last one, or if you haven't seen any of them, feel free to start with the main character, Captain himself, Monkey D. Luffy, doing all of the Straw Hats, ending with Jinbei. So, there will be manga spoilers in this video, but we'll save them towards the end of the video, so we'll cover everything that the anime has covered so far, so anime onlys are free to watch this without any spoilers until the end, which it'll be clearly marked. But that's your warning. Now, with that out of the way, make sure you like the video if you liked it, and subscribe, and do all that fun stuff, but we're gonna start off with Robin's backstory. Tragic. Probably the most, if not the second most, tied with Law, and then even tied with Brooke, in my opinion. The three of them have probably the most tragic backstories, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Some of the other side characters, get the shaft in their backstories, but the big three, the monster trio of sad backstories, you might say.
I like that. I like that. So, Robin grew up, of course, on Ohara, which is an island known for its study in archaeology and, other historical things, where she was left by her mother, Olvia, because Olvia decided to chase her husband's dream, which we don't have a name for Robin's dad, and I would like to know more about her there.
Yeah, I kind of want to know more about Robin's dad, too. There's a lot of theories surrounding him.
It's Roger.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of being left behind, I wanted to briefly touch on, her aunt and uncle that she gets left with?
Yeah, I didn't even know that until I was kind of reading up on her backstory. And yeah, it's Olvia's brother, whatever his name is.
Yeah, which makes it even, because she's got a Cinderella thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And why would Olvia's brother and wife treat Robin so terribly? Did we ever get an answer for that?
No, they just resented her. I think they didn't. Maybe I'm just putting this together in my own words. I don't know if this is canon, but I don't think her brother appreciated Olvia and thought maybe she was like a bad mom or just a bad person for leaving her daughter. And then now he's burdened with raising her daughter, so maybe that resentment kind of came out under Robin. But I mean, it was pretty bad. Like, they wouldn't invite her to dinners. Like, she was actually family, which I didn't know. I thought she was just like, a random person that she was staying with. But It's just straight up her uncle, and they treat her like that. She never had that happy time, at least Law. Before all tragedy struck, he had a happy family, a loving family, a sister, and Brooke had a happy thing with Laboon. Robin was never happy.
Well, she was happy with the scholars.
She was,
but even they kicked her out at first, and it was short-lived.
Yeah, it was short-lived, because all of the kids and stuff thought she was a freak with her devil fruit, which we don't even know when she came across her devil fruit or anything like that.
How did she get her hands on a devil fruit?
Yeah, you'd think that,
Did she just find it growing on a tree one day?
Probably, I guess. It's a big island. She was always the outcast. All of the other kids always made fun of her and never accepted her. Her own family didn't accept her. The only people who did were the archaeologists, Clover and company. And so she joined with them and started learning about archaeology.
And I've always loved the library of Ohara and everything, because it's like one of the very few instances of an actual university in the One Piece world. Like a collection of vast knowledge. And just the fact that that exists implies that maybe there are other places like that.
It seems like any big place of knowledge is quickly burned down by the world government. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
But Robin does start to learn a lot about the history and stuff, and at some point she overhears the scholars talking about the poneglyphs and then the true history of the world, and learning how to read the ancient text. And using her spy abilities, she was able to learn all that information as well, and that's when they found out and temporarily kicked her out. Because they were trying to instill the fear that this is not okay to learn, we're doing very bad things, and if anyone catches you doing this, you'll be persecuted, like this isn't a place for a child. But Robin, having the family of Olvia and, you know, previous archaeologists, she just had that yearn for knowledge.
You got a little kid with a weird devil fruit like that, and she's clearly super smart. Like she's a ticking time bomb basically of like whether or not she's gonna be accepted or she's gonna acquire the information by herself. So at a certain point it's like we might as well just let her partake. So she probably studies there for like, you know, if I had to guess, a year at least, on and off.
Yeah, because then she becomes an honorary professor, and then sometime between that she meets Saul. Jaguar D. Saul, washed up on the ocean, and, you know, he teaches her a lot about having a friend and laughing, and Saul was the goat, man. He was nice.
Yeah, Saul was one of the very few pure-hearted Marines that we've seen in the story.
Yeah, one of 2 Marines that we know that have the will of D, including Garp. So,
and it's interesting to me, yeah, because he's also a giant. So it's like he has a different perspective. It makes you wonder what the giants know about the world. I'm very excited for Elbaf.
Yes, we can talk about that, you know, later, but yes. I would love to meet another giant with the initial D, you know?
Yeah, the D ties together everyone, including the giants, and it also ties Robin into Elbaf. I feel like Robin's gonna have a lot to do in Elbaf. People usually don't think about that.
So Olvia comes back, and she had escaped with the help of Saul. That's how she escaped. We find out later, or at this moment, where Saul saw them being captured and helped them get set free, and that's when Saul was kind of exiled off of his own marine ship, excommunicated because he helped them escape. And he washed up on the ocean nearby, and then she tells about how the Marines found out that the archaeologists in her group were from Ohara, and that the Marines were on their way, and probably a lot of bad things were gonna come. So she was there to warn the archaeologists, but frickin' Spondine was already ahead of them. Spondum will come into play later. Yeah, so stop me if I'm missing anything, but basically the Marines come, they unalive Clover because he knows too much. The Gorosei are on the other end of the phone, and they order him to be not alive again. So
yeah, it's a real tragedy what happened to Clover. You know, he committed sewer slide with 4 shots in the back of the head, and then he jumped in a wood chipper and fell off a cliff.
That's
really
crazy.
Sad.
Clover would do that to himself.
I know.
There's just no other explanation, really.
Really, there's not.
It's crazy that he stabbed himself in the back 18 times with a knife that wasn't at the crime scene. It's weird.
Tragic things that happen to scholars. They just work themselves too hard, man.
Yeah, it's true. It's a pure tragedy. Good thing the Marines were there to clean up the job.
Yeah, good old Marine. The world government, it would never do anything bad.
No. One, two, skip a few, there is a buster call. The whole place is destroyed, and Robin luckily has one last moment with her mother as Olvia is able to say goodbye, and it's like the sweetest, saddest, tear-filled moment when Robin just holds her hand, and she just says, like, I've always wanted to do this, to hold your hand, because she would always see, like, the other parents with their kids, and it was just such a childlike wish that just breaks your heart. Olvia is also tragically committed seppuku on herself with no other explanation. Totally not the government. Olvia sees that Saul has arrived, and although she still doesn't really know why Saul helped her, she wishes for Saul to protect Robin. So he takes Robin away and they run, but eventually they are intercepted by Aokiji, Kuzan. In the last moments of, again, Saul, tragically, without the government's hand at all, did not make it through the Buster Call. And as he was being frozen, you know, his words to Robin were that the sea is vast and that no one's born to be alone.
Talking about how you'll find friends out there and you'll know it when you see it.
And yeah, her sad backstory only gets more sad as her entire island is destroyed. The tree, you know, like the scholars are trying to save the books and everything, throw them into the pond. Which makes you wonder, maybe they didn't do a great job. I wonder if the Straw Hats will ever return to Ohara. Maybe that's something.
Possibility.
And then another really cool moment for Aokiji, and even more crushing for the plot in general, is when the ship of the Innocents, you know, they didn't let any scholars go, but the citizens of the island were allowed to go free. But that's when Akainu, unrelenting justice, just sends a big old meteor. Or was it a cannonball? Was it a meteor? I don't know if he had his devil fruit back then.
And to tie it back into Robin, she's so interconnected to like the One Piece story, not just in the ways that people normally think about, but like she's so connected to two admirals. The implications of what Robin is to the world is so much in the story.
Yeah, she's definitely a big deal. But so fast forwarding, you know, the tragedy of Ohara strikes, no scholars make it out except for Robin. And, you know, we got that heartbreaking scene where she's looking at her island burning as Saul in her memory is telling her that, you know, if you feel bad, just remember to laugh and then you'll feel better. And so she's like cry laughing.
Oh, I can't listen to that. That makes me cry.
Robin's so adorable, but so sad. So she's now on the run from the government. She spends quite a long time. Okay, it's 20 years.
I was gonna say, she's like 30, so it would have been 20 years
that
she's been on the run.
Yeah, so 20 years she is on the run from house to house, not having a safe haven in anyone, because anyone who took her in, as soon as they found out who she was, they would immediately turn her over to the government for her bounty. She received a 79 billion? No. She should have that, but no. 79 million berry bounty at the age of 8.
Because I guess this is as good a point as any to kind of bring up the fact that her bounty is ridiculously low for what you would expect.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a plot hole if you really start thinking about it.
Yeah, because she should be right up there with Dragon, like, just straight up.
At this point, yes. Before she was fully adopted into the Straw Hats, before Enies Lobby, it kind of makes sense that it was so low, because she was working on her own, and maybe they wanted to keep it on the DL. Like, we don't want everybody to know that this person can completely ruin us.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, because 80 or 79 million was an enormous amount for a child.
Yeah, especially back then in the story.
Yeah,
you know,
it makes sense up to that point in, like, Enies Lobby, but after Enies Lobby, and it's clear that she has the spirit to fight after the events of Enies Lobby, and has a crew to protect her, and will go so far to protect her. You know, she's actually a big deal now, and she's still chasing that dream. I think at that point, for sure after Enies Lobby, she should have gotten a very high bounty.
Yeah, even if they don't want to, like, have the entire weight of the world collapsing on her, like, maybe Oda's like, oh, if I give her too high of a bounty, there's no reason for, like, you know, every strong bounty hunter in the entire world to just immediately come after her. But at the very least, give her a couple of billion.
Okay, I mean, honestly, for sure need Robin to have a higher bounty, because even then after, she still doesn't have a very high bounty at all, and it's ridiculous. But she's on the run for 20 whole years, not having a good place to sleep, not trusting anyone, and she eventually starts trying to make a living for herself, working with criminal organizations, which are the only ones who are willing to deal with her. And even then they would sell her out, and then she would be burdened with the guilt of all these organizations crumbling after she was there, because then like the Marines would go in and kill everyone and she would be the only survivor. That's something that Aokiji told us later. So eventually that led her to Crocodile. And that's where we meet her in Alabasta. So before we go into the current events of the anime, where we see her in Alabasta, we can talk about her dream itself, which we kind of touched on a little bit, but it's just to find the true history, to carry on her lineage. Her father and mother were both willing to sacrifice anything to find the true history, and now
and it's not really just for her mom and dad, it's for like everybody who was ever nice to her.
Yeah, the
like
scholars,
all of the scholars
for sure.
And Professor Clover.
Yeah, trying to get that knowledge out into the world, for the world to know what happened in that void century. It's important to her to find it. So her dream will be to find the Rio poneglyph, which is the culmination of 8 poneglyphs, which all then describe the true history. So that's what she really wants. She wants to find that and basically just get it out there. Bigger goal to free the world of the world government.
Obviously there's touches of like freeing the world and setting the record straight and everything, but it really does genuinely seem to be out of like a scholarly interest in what actually happened. Yeah. There's, whenever she talks about it, even when she's dying in the crypt and in Alabasta, there's no malice. It's just sadness and like the longing to understand. Like, I just think that's so interesting for her character, because it would be so easy for Oda to write like anger into any of her scenes where she's talking about her dream, but he never does.
She spent her whole life fighting. It's sad. She's sad.
It's very sad.
Yeah, there's a lot. So then, that was her dream. So now we're going to move on to the current events and go into Alabasta, where she was first portrayed as a badass right hand to the main villain, Croco Boy. I don't know about you, but Cowgirl Robin holds a special place in my heart.
Cowgirl Robin could absolutely step on me any day of the week, and I would let it happen. I would say, yes, queen.
Yeah, Cowgirl Robin was something else. And, she unfortunately had that kind of case of really badass person revealed to the Straw Hats, but then once they join the Straw Hats, they're a little bit lackluster, I'm just gonna say.
She kind of got, this is just a problem overall in anime. She got the Vegeta treatment, where, she becomes like a side character. Although I think the reason that Robin is part of the crew is just to like hang out and vibe. You see her in Alabasta and she really just is like executing fools left and right with like choking maneuvers and like breaking people's spines and
she
stuff.
fucked up to Shiki.
Yeah,
and Pell.
She just annihilates people. She one-shotted Pell, one of the guardian deities of Alabasta. Like,
she was badass for sure.
So part of me is like, she's just getting the Vegeta treatment where she's a cool character and she joins and then she doesn't, she has cool moments, but it's nothing like the way she was introduced. But then the other part of me is like, if you really think about her character, it makes a lot of sense that she's just along for the ride for the scholarly pursuit. Like, she doesn't, it's almost like Luffy is allowing her to live as a human being because she's been on the run her whole life. So now she can just enjoy her scholarly pursuits and not have to worry about choking out people.
It's a hobby more than a career.
Yeah.
But no, it's true. And I don't know if it was outright stated, because I kind of remember that being stated, but it's just the fact, like, especially after Enies Lobby, that she just doesn't have to fight anymore, because that's not who she is. That's not what she was taught to do. She was taught to explore knowledge and explore ruins and figure out ancient texts. She wasn't meant to be a strong person in that sense. She just grew up that way because she had no choice. It's very Rebecca, with all the things of Rebecca, I know, but the core of Rebecca is she was taught to fight even though she didn't want to. But we do see her that way at first, so I could understand why a lot of people think that she needs to be more hands-on. But
she can still do that. Just doesn't necessarily have to be fighting.
Robin, even though she was a badass and she was going against the Straw Hats and everything, she was always, right from the start, an intriguing character because she saves Luffy. She saves Luffy when Crocodile tries to kill him in the big sand toilet. Haha, 4Kids Stub, funny. But
Luffy, desert doo-doo.
Desert doo-doo. That's it. But it's odd because she's still so confident and nonchalant about it that you just don't understand what she's doing. And then when you eventually follow her all the way to the basement, to the poneglyph in which Crocodile's main goal was, she starts lying to him and saying that the poneglyph was just a depiction of the country's history instead of the location of Pluton, which it actually was. And so immediately it's clear that something was going on with this lady and she's not true to Crocodile. And so she tries to stab him. That doesn't go so well. He stabs her and she's left to die in the ruins until Luffy eventually defeats Crocodile.
And yanks her out of the tomb.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about, is like that really heartbreaking scene, again, so many heartbreaking scenes with Robin, is when she's just sitting there stabbed around the crumbling ancient ruins, just talking about, again, no anger, no like regret necessarily. She's just like, I'm tired. I'm tired of living this way. That was my last clue, was this poneglyph, to try and find the ancient history, and it was a dead end. It was just about the ancient weapon or whatever, that's not important. So she was like, I'm done. If my life ended here, it would be right. It was really sad to see how defeated she was after we had just realized who she was really, after she betrayed Crocodile, and it was clear that she was actually like an archaeologist. We're like, oh, hold up, Luffy, go get that bitch. She's coming with us.
Yeah.
I wish I wasn't spoiled by the opening of the anime at that time, that Robin was gonna join.
That's worth mentioning, but when you're watching the series, the episode that Robin joins the Straw Hats, or something, it was like the end of the Alabasta arc, before Robin joins, she's part of the crew lineup in the opening theme.
Yeah. And that was
So
what
it
spoiled
really does
me, because
just
I didn't know.
straight up- Yeah.
But yeah, Luffy saves her. She was sad about not being able to find the true history of the world, and all of this fighting was for nothing, but she was just tired. All this 20 years of running has just made her tired of fighting. So when Luffy shows up, luckily he does save her and takes her away, and against her will saves her life. Which then comes in handy, because now with nowhere to go and nothing necessarily to grasp onto for any clues of the poneglyphs, Robin wants to join the crew. And I think she's the only one who actually asks to join the crew, rather than Luffy asking. I'm pretty sure.
That sounds right. I mean...
She's like the first and only one to be like, let me join your crew. I'm here. And that's another thing. She actually showed up. That was when we first saw her abilities. After Drum Island, we actually see her for the first time, even before Alabasta, just real quick, where she has this mysterious ability to move objects and disarm people, and she's just on their ship. She takes Luffy's hat, and she's just like, what's up? I'm not gonna hurt you. I suggest you go to Alabasta, though. It's probably a good idea to not detour. She gives them a hint for something. I don't remember what it is, but she's already shown to be this mysterious character who you don't really know what side she's on, but then she's revealed to be a villain, but then she saves Luffy again, and then at the end we see that she was always planning on betraying Crocodile. But that's where Alabasta ends, where she joins the crew. The next arc that Robin is a part of, the first full arc that she's a member of the crew, is Skypia. She doesn't play like too big of a role on Jaya. I mean, she helps capture the bird, the southern bird where it's always facing south or something, north, I don't remember. They make their way all the way to the Sky Island of Skypia, and Robin has quite a few things to do here, whether it be fighting or finding the ancient ruins. So the first thing I did want to touch on is that it's clear that Robin is still detached from the crew. Even though she joined the crew, it's clearly just a joyride for her. She's kind of coming along. She's not really giving much to the crew. She's just kind of doing her own thing because that's all she's ever known. Every crew that she's ever been a part of has either crumbled or betrayed her. So she's just like, all right, these people seem cool, and, she recognized that Luffy had the Will of D, and, she had asked, like, why do the people of the Will of D fight? So there was definitely intrigue there, but she wouldn't call any of the crewmates their names. They would call them by their titles and things like that, like Navigator-san. And
did she ever call Luffy by his name? I don't think so.
I think she called him Captain.
She might have called him by name a couple of times.
Maybe. Yeah, so she really that was kind of like a barrier for her, where she didn't want to let herself grow close just because of, those walls, those mental, emotional walls that she's built over 20 years, which you don't blame her. But it's definitely important to note that up until this, throughout this arc, she's still keeping her distance from them and kind of doing her own thing, which, doing her own thing, is finding some ancient ruins on the fairy Verth, where the Golden City was. And she encounters Yama there, which is like her first Straw Hat fight, and her last one until Wano. And she destroys him pretty well. I was rewatching the fight, in preparation of this video, and it was pretty cool. It's actually, fun fact, she destroys Yama the same way that she gets Big Mom out of the castle.
Oh. Okay.
Which is fantastic. She creates that arm cannon of all the way off a cliff.
Yeah.
And sends him flying off a cliff. At the same time, cracking his neck. It was pretty brutal.
Nuts.
Yeah, but the whole theme, because Oda loves themes in fights, and we'll definitely, definitely with Wano, everyone has a theme for their fight, but throughout the series, there's always a theme to the fight, and for Robin, it was the poneglyph, or really more just ancient history in general, because Yama was this big dude who was just crumbling and destroying all the ruins while trying to fight Robin, and she, again and again kept trying to tell him to stop just destroying this. Like, this is ancient material that we're never going to be able to get back. It has writing on it. He was like, I don't care about history. Man, you really like these ruins, and just smashes them everywhere. And so Robin has to struggle a bit to run all the way out of the ruins before finally facing him. So it was a little bit, she was fighting for history, literally. So it was kind of cool. And then she was calling him a fool for not appreciating history and stuff like that. And then she uses his weight against him with her cool little abilities and, sends him off a cliff like Big Mom. Rightfully so. It was a cool fight with Yama. If you remember who Yama is.
For sure. He's a very forgettable character, but
Yeah.
it is cool that Robin got that fight, especially early on.
Mm-hmm. And the call forward to Big Mom's attack, that was pretty cool to see that. I was like, oh, she used that same attack on Big Mom later on. Like, oh, okay, so she did use this move before. But yeah, she was smart. Like, he had a bunch of dials too. He had like a dial belt that he uses as like a axe to like cut people in half. And so she sprouts arms and like turns the belt around at him, so when she smashes him into the tree, the dials go off and just cut him in half. It's pretty brutal.
That,
yeah. And then that's when she sends him off the cliff and cracks his neck. She's brutal. She is brutal, and it's badass. But
she is ruthless.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. She's definitely the type of person to just like step on me.
Okay. So, Robin then, she's off on her own, away from the rest of the Straw Hats, and she finds the Golden City. And there she finds some ancient text that was also written in the same forgotten language as the poneglyphs, which I think is interesting. The ruins of that area were written in that ancient text, which I don't think we've gotten really an explanation on that, but that's pretty cool that it was.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, that kind of gives a little bit of credence to Ohara's giant video series, where he's like trying to piece together, well, both Oharas.
Yeah, so, because Skypia is looking more and more as a very integral arc to, like, the world of One Piece. Not so much Luffy's story, but, yeah, like, the history of the world is very Skypia-centric, the more we learn about it. But, so Robin finds that there's a poneglyph on the golden bell, and that's when she, you know, they don't have the golden bell because it's up on the beanstalk, but that's where she encounters Eneru, and that whole thing happens. You know, she gets zapped in the forehead, but don't worry, Zoro catches her. It's a good thing he caught her. You know, she could have gotten hurt. But she does stand strong against Eneru before that. Like, she's standing up there with Wiper, Gonfall, Zoro. She's, you know, she's standing strong, ready to attack Eneru. So it's good to see her with the big leagues, you know, because she's definitely, like, strength-wise, if she tried, she is, you know, I'll scale her to the top 50% of the crew instantly.
Oh, yeah.
Instantly.
She would be a top-tier fighter if she could just learn Armament
Haki. I know.
She would seriously be
God.
one of the strongest fighters in the entire series. Because
She
not
would.
only would it help her with her defense, but her offense would get ungodly.
Like, imagine Robin with, like, finger pistol.
Yeah.
She would just make everyone Swiss cheese. But, yeah, so she's a badass. We're gonna move on to the end of the arc, where they finally, they get the bell, you know, Eneru rings the bell against his will. And they all pull the bell up after the beanstalk falls, and she finds the poneglyph. Unfortunately, this poneglyph is not one of the Rio poneglyphs, and I think this is the moment that you get a more in-depth explanation, because Robin puts together, when she sees Roger's message, that the Rio poneglyph is actually multiple poneglyphs all put together that they're gonna find across the New World or just on Laugh Tale. But she makes the connection there, and it's interesting to see her reaction to seeing Roger, too, because he was using the ancient language, but then we find out the real reason that he had that on there is because of Odin, which is cute.
Yeah.
I think that's cute.
And it points to, because there was, you know, the theory for a long time that Luffy was going to be able to read the ancient language eventually, because that was like a voice of all things, that Roger could read the ancient language. And I don't know, I kind of am glad that didn't happen in a way, because it gives more credit to Robin and Odin.
But Robin here sees the text, kind of freaks out, but the poneglyph here is just the location of Poseidon, and the fact that it's on Fishman Island, which that'll come in handy later. That's a secret tool, yeah.
Help us later.
That'll help us later. That's pretty much it for Skypia. The part I do want to talk about with Long Ring Long Land, because, you know, forget the rest of it, is at the end is where we come across Aokiji for the first time in the story, and he's a weirdo. He's, you know, he's tired and he just doesn't know if he wants to capture the Straw Hats or not. But when he finds out that Robin is there, then he starts being like, okay, this bitch is here. But he warns.
Well, I mean, he sees her there before that.
That's true. I don't really get Aokiji, but I don't think you're supposed to. He warns the Straw Hats about how destruction and darkness and all these bad things follow Nico Robin, and to be aware that she's probably going to betray them. And he attacks Robin and freezes her. Luffy desperately tries to save her, but she does get frozen by Aokiji, and this is the first inkling of the darker history behind Robin that we're not really aware of. We just know that she likes history and, you know, wants to find some poneglyphs, but we don't quite understand the depth of her history and all that she's gone through up to this point. I mean, we know a little bit from Alabasta too, but a Marine Admiral is talking about this girl now. This is a little bit bigger than we thought, maybe. This is the start of Robin feeling extremely guilty, because it's clear now that she's getting a little bit more of a connection with the Straw Hats, and she cares about them, seeing that, you know, they're not the awful people that she's used to, so she feels bad about drawing the attention of an admiral against Luffy, because then he gets frozen and all this stuff. But all of that, those seeds of doubt start getting planted in her, and that leads very swimmingly into Water 7, where she is approached by the CP9. Yeah, not to, because there's a lot, in my opinion, for Water 7 and Enies Lobby, but not to get into the details too much, the overarching theme here with Usopp and Robin is, you know, trusting your crew and things like that. So the morale of the crew was already low when Usopp and Luffy fought, and then Usopp left the crew, and now Robin's missing, and then they find out that Robin has been posed as on an assault against Iceberg, and then they were gonna do another assault that night, so that's when the Straw Hats try to confront her, but she's still not willing to talk to them and saying that if I can have my one wish, then that's enough. I can't sail with you anymore, basically. And it's really mysterious, and we don't know what the hell's going on. But it's clear at this point, once the CP9 agents reveal themselves to be who they were, that Robin is not willingly being part of this, that there's something else going on. And that's when she's taken on the sea train.
It's all very mysterious up to that point.
So when she gets captured on the sea train, yeah, I mean, there's some good moments with like Sanji, Franky, and Usopp on the sea train. Because, well, I say Usopp. Obviously, he was left behind. Sniper King shows up on the sea train instead.
Sniper King, the Chad, comes out of nowhere, covers for Usopp.
The big moment with Sniper King is when they're kind of beaten down, him and Sanji aren't winning against the government agents. He looks to Robin and says, "Whatever you do, believe in Luffy." And he laments that a crewmate cannot leave the crew without their captain's permission. And so just trying to persuade Robin to see that she's still part of the crew and that they still all care for her. I think it would have been more impactful if like Usopp said that, given the recent events, but I guess...
It's kind of weird that Oda had Sniper King say
yeah,
all that,
he must
but I
have...
guess since Usopp was like training off on Sniper Island or something, that kind of
Probably.
makes sense.
That would make sense, yeah. Yeah, I guess Usopp just told Sniper King what happened. Franky actually has a really, really nice moment here where he doesn't quite, he's still kind of an antagonist, not really at this point, but he doesn't understand why Robin's being captured, but he's slowly piecing things together as he's overhearing Lucci and the other CP9 agents talk about Robin and belittling her for causing the government so much issues and saying that her existence is a sin, the key words, because then Franky kind of thinks back to his bringing up with Tom and how building ships isn't a crime. Like, the act of building a ship isn't a crime. It's if someone uses it poorly later on, that is the issue. It's not the shipbuilder. And so he kind of thinks back to that, and it's just a nice moment with Robin and Franky where he tells Robin that her existence is not a sin. It's not a crime to be alive. And it was just a nice little sweet moment from Franky, because obviously the entire world sees it that way, and Robin sees it that way. So you could see that, that glimmer in her eye was starting to grow a little bit, just a little bit. After being told to believe in Luffy, that she's still part of the crew, and that her existence isn't a sin. Those are the key points that we're trying to get into Robin at this point. So we move on then to Enies Lobby proper. Now we get the big moment. We all know what it is. She wants to live. She sees the Straw Hats.
I wanna live.
I wanna live. I wanna sail.
Oh god, not that moment. Wrong moment.
Wrong moment. Go back.
Wrong I want to.
So she sees all the Straw Hats lined up to save her, and, can't talk enough about Luffy in these moments, because he sees the darkness within her, and he just is able to see past all of her bullshit that she's trying to tell him, like, no, you'll be safer without me. I don't want you risking your lives. Like, you don't understand, who my enemies are. And that's when Luffy gets Sniper King to burn down that flag. And, once and for all solidifies that Luffy doesn't give a shit. And he's gonna bring her home. And if she still talks about seppuku afterwards, then that's on her. But she's gonna do it by his side and free.
Do it on your own time.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do it because you feel like you need to. And so all of that eventually, and this is where we get her flashback of the Ohara incident and the
tragic suicide of all of the archaeologists.
Yes, and how awful the Buster Call really is and what that means to her exactly, that keeps being held over her head and then eventually accidentally summoned because Spondum's here. Spondine, the father, was the perpetrator of Ohara, and now Spondum, his lovely son, also a coward, is now in charge of Enies Lobby and continuously causing harm.
Nepotism at its finest.
Yeah, I wonder how he got that job. I'm sure he worked hard.
He worked very hard. I think, you know who the real MVP of
Spondiam?
No, it's Funk Freed.
That's,
Funk
you know.
Freed is the real MVP.
But yeah, she's conflicted. She wants to try and sacrifice herself, because that was the whole thing. That was when Nami found out, the whole Straw Hats found out that what Robin was really trying to do is she made a deal with the CP9 that leave the Straw Hats alone, basically. Let them leave and I'll go with you. So don't attack them, because she's terrified of the world government, rightfully so, and she doesn't want any of that to go onto them. So she gives up her dream and everything that she's fought for the last 20 years for the Straw Hats, and that is really impactful considering Robin, because she has such a history of not trusting people. Now she's gone to the other extreme of completely sacrificing everything for them. So it's very sweet to see how much she grows, especially now towards the end of Enies Lobby, where she admits that she wants to live, finally accepting that she does have a dream and that it's important. It's a very good character development moment. The symbology of the darkness that's inside of her is very well depicted in those moments, because like she's alone in a void pretty much, and it's like all of the people that she's come across throughout her life telling her that she's a demon, she's the devil child, she doesn't deserve to live, she's nothing but a burden, all these bad things in her head, and she's in this void. But then it cracks when they finally reach out to her and they are able to reach her emotionally, and like they burn down the flag and everything, like just that scene. Watch it if you haven't in a while. It's great.
Pay attention to like the lighting and stuff that's behind Robin during that entire. It's very good.
So she is freed from her emotional trauma, but now she still has to physically get free. So the whole crew goes up against the CP9, and I think it's Franky who goes up against Chapapa to get the key. And the whole time, it's pretty brutal, especially extended in the anime, I'm sure, of her getting tortured and fought against Spondum in handcuffs. It's brutal. Because now she fights. Now she knows that there's a purpose to her. She's not going to go willingly, and she's going to fight tooth and nail. Literally, like there's a scene where she's about to go on the bridge of hesitation, and she mouths. She clamps onto the edge of the bridge, and the only thing holding her is her teeth as she's bleeding from her gums. And she's just crying.
Like literally getting curb stomped by Spondum as she's like trying to buy seconds for the crew to catch up to her.
It's brutal.
She goes through some serious punishment in the second part of that arc.
Yeah, the whole time being attached to Sea Stone and everything. Oh my god, poor Robin. I love her so much, though. So this is when the Buster Call is called on accident by Spondum, because he's a goddamn idiot. Yeah. And, the trauma and the reality is really setting in that people need to hurry up. But that's when Sniper King shows up on the Bridge of Hesitation and shoots down all the Marines, enough for Franky to catch up with the key. And he saves her, and it's a nice moment where she's finally freed and gets her just revenge for Spondum, slapping the shit out of him. I feel like she could have done more. I feel like she could have killed him. I'm just saying. In conclusion, Enies Lobby, Robin learns to love, and she again hears the beautiful words from Saul of, the sea is vast and no one is meant to be alone, and she finally finds a family, a crew, that she's willing to put her faith in and protect her to go forward to achieve her dream. It's a beautiful story.
It is a beautiful story. And in a lot of ways, that's the culmination of her character arc. Mm-hmm. Because after that, she's much more, she has a very flat character arc after this, which isn't to say she doesn't have one. She's affecting the world around her and still trying to achieve her dream. But as far as like her actual character goes, she doesn't really undergo too much change after that point.
Yeah, because I mean there's a little bit in Wano, but that really isn't a change, it's really more solidifying that she has changed. because of Enies Lobby. We get a little bit of interactions with her interactions with Aokiji. I think he says something along the lines of, like, now that you've found a place in the world, I don't have to worry about you anymore. Which doesn't really make sense, but I guess it does for Aokiji.
Possibly in Aokiji's head, he still feels responsible both for Robin, like in the sense that he wants to look after her, and also feels responsible in the sense that, like, he is responsible for setting her loose on the world.
Yeah, it's a weird thing with Aokiji.
So I think maybe he was just, like, officially breaking his ties with Robin. Like, after this point, I won't be associated with you, and if we meet again, then I'm probably just gonna try to take you in as a Marine.
I like that idea. Just that he feels that she's fulfilled her part of the bargain in a sense of, like, finding a place in the world, not being like a loose cannon. But, I mean, she's still looking for the true history, so, you know, but...
Yeah.
We can move on to Thriller Bark. Haha. Basically, Thriller Bark really just consisted of some funny moments with Robin. You know, how she didn't want to dock with Franky and the others. They were making, like, the big super mech, funny scenes there. And we get to see her Enies Fleur wing, where she's able to fly for a short amount of time. That's super cool. Yeah, the only other thing I noted is that she's one of the only ones who knew about Zoro and about the nothing happened moment. I think her and Brooke are the only crewmates besides Sanji who know about what happened there, so there's something to note. Interesting.
I think Thriller Bark was a bit of missed potential with Robin, because obviously you're trying to showcase Brooke, and it's supposed to be another Luffy beats the Warlord story. But I think Robin could have had a bit more to do there, which is honestly, you know, that's just the thing you can say about Robin. She, even though we literally just got done talking about the fact that we don't think that her purpose in the story is to fight very often, I still think that there could be stuff that she gets into. In Thriller Bark, she goes with Franky on the island as, like, the scouting squad. And then she witnesses Brooke be a badass by cutting the spider.
Yeah, the spiders, and that's how they find out about Laboon.
I legitimately can't even remember what she even does after that.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
It's more of a frustration for the fact that she is such a good character, and she's had so much from when she was introduced to Alabasta up until Enies Lobby. And then she just kind of just hangs in the background. She dad Vegeta's. She really does. She hangs out in her pink shirt just like Vegeta and waters her garden.
I don't understand this reference, but alright. But yeah, so Thriller Bark isn't too exciting for Robin is our point. And then so we go on to Sabaody. We do have a pretty cool moment here with Sabaody with Rayleigh, because Rayleigh is talking about how they do know the true history. And so Robin, kind of out of character, because she's very much a background character in her personality, and quiet and kind of just observing, but you can see, like, that spark in her when he mentions finding out the true history. Like, she stands up and she's like, do you know it? Do you know the true history? Do you know what it is? And she, like, freaks out for a moment, and then Rayleigh's like, that's right, we know it. Like, they're really, really badass.
I can tell it to you right now, but I have a feeling that you want to find out for yourself.
Yeah, he was like, but, you know, you might come to a different conclusion when you read it, so are you sure you still want to know it? And you can see, like, that slight confliction in her eyes, but she's like, you know what, you're right. It's similar to Luffy, like, she wants to experience the true journey to finding that, because it's the journey that really will make that resolution so much more satisfying.
At the end of the day, she would want to go see it anyway. Like, regardless of if she knew the Void Century, everything that happened, everything that Rayleigh could remember about it, she would still have to go and read it for herself. You can't just, like, take, you know, as credible as Rayleigh is in that scenario, you can't just take his word for it. And he might be missing bits of information, and, you know, just who she is, like, you just want to go appreciate the stonework, you know? Just go look at it in the words of the Kozukis. You want to go read what happened. So yeah, I think she knew, even though, like, it would ruin the journey for everybody else, but she could just complete it right there. She kind of knew that this isn't going to be satisfying as if we all did it together.
Yeah, she is then sent to Tequila Wolf. I came up with this like half-assed theory that probably a lot of people have already made the connection, but I just thought of it now while making the bullet points for this video. Is that, did Kuma know that the Revolutionary Army was going to invade Tequila Wolf, and that's why he sent Robin to it?
I assume so, and it...
Because Kuma's part of the Revolutionary Army, obviously.
Yeah.
And why did he send her to a random bridge,
Yeah, if he really wanted to send Robin to the Revolutionaries, he could have sent her to...
Baltigo. That was their base, but yeah, at that point it was.
Could have just sent her to Baltigo or
whatever. I was thinking that too, but I think like this would have been like a more natural introduction for her to the Revolutionaries than just being sent to their island. And so sending her to like their next target and letting her experience what the Revolutionary Army stands for and fights for in a more natural environment, I think is really 4D chess of Kuma. I'm just gonna say, and I never really thought about it. So, shout out to Kuma.
Kuma's got some 4D chess going on anyway.
With all the Straw Hats, with the places that he sent them. So, for Robin to be on the bridge, on Tequila Wolf, that has been, like, in construction for, 700 years? Yeah. 700 years Tequila Wolf has been worked on by slaves, and that's when the Revolutionaries show up. And before she knows about the time skip, she is offered protection and like training and a meeting with Dragon, and she refuses. She's like, oh yeah, I mean, I appreciate it, but honestly I have my own crew and they'll be able to protect me, as she's offered a presence with Dragon.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's not until she gets the idea.
Hockey.
Yeah, she could. I mean, she still could have, because that's where she ended up going in the end.
Yeah.
Because once she found out about the time skip, then she went back to those revolutionaries and were like, oh, actually, you know what? I changed my mind. Take me to your leader.
We need to learn more about what she did while she was there.
I think she learned a lot about espionage and more information gathering, because we see that is definitely something that she thrives in, about like spy missions and things like that. Intel.
And her strength has always been worldly knowledge. Like, she's the encyclopedia of the crew.
Yeah.
So obviously that would have been improved while she was there too.
It's a lot more, but then yeah, we'll talk about more things that we learn about her in the time skip in the next section. So hang in there. For spoilers. The last thing is there's like a cute little scene. There's so many cute scenes with Robin, I can't stop. But she talks about acknowledging the 2-year time skip and thinks about how the revolutionaries can help her become stronger for Luffy. And she just has a moment where she was like, you know what, I've never thought about becoming stronger for anyone else before. And not, you know, by necessity of survival. And I just cry. So
I cry every time.
yeah. So in the time skip, Robin learns to grow large limbs, clone herself, do a lot of, you know, more stuff that we can talk about for Wano. But yeah, she also loses her tan. Gets a little whitewashed. Yeah, maybe it was just the Alabasta tan, you know, maybe it was that.
And pre-time skip, she is so much more attractive than post-time skip.
But yeah, the point is that Robin looked much more badass. Like, her character design fit her personality a lot better pre-time skip, and she just looked like a badass bitch, you know?
She did.
And then yeah, she looks a lot
cold, calculated killer pre-time skip.
Yeah, and post-time skip, she was a lot more faded. Like, for lack of a better word. She just looked more gentle, more sweet, which was never really her character, necessarily.
Yeah, that's
she
the
just
way
looks,
she's slowly gravitating, right? She's slowly turning into a very sweet, genuine, funny person because she's not in horrible environments anymore. So, like, in a way it makes sense, but at the same time, she definitely had, like, an edge to her that I think she should still have.
I think Nami and Robin both kind of suffered in that light because they both kind of became very similar. They both grew their hair out. They both have, like, the same hairstyle, same body type.
They have, like, the same eyes.
Yeah, because Robin had a very distinct facial feature, too. Like, you could easily tell Robin from any other female character. Yeah, just her face was more mature looking, rather than like Nami or Tashigi or Vivi.
She looked like a 30-year-old.
Yeah, she looked her
she
part.
Straight
yeah,
looked older than everybody else.
She was supposed to be more wise, all this stuff. But this is a tangent of her design. But I guess it's relevant. I think it held a lot of her charm in Return to Sabaody when she was wearing the sunglasses, and so she still had this air of mysteriousness to her, and it kind of fit her character much more. But then she kind of lost the sunglasses, and then she just wears like dresses and like short shorts and more girly things that I don't know. The more I talk about it, the less makes sense. But you get what I'm saying. Let me know in the comments. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what we're saying here?
You're picking up what we're putting down.
Yeah. Robin's hot. That's what I'm saying. But so we're gonna go on to Fishman Island, and we're kind of gonna skim through this all the way to Zoe, hopefully. But so keep from tangents. Myself, more than anything.
I think I've got most of my soapboxes out of the way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there is a big thing that happens in Fishman Island, but hopefully we can cover it kind of quickly, and that is about the poneglyph. She finds the poneglyph in the forest of Fishman Island, where she later she reads the poneglyph, and it's an apology letter from Joy Boy, which is a very different style of poneglyph than all of the other ones that she's read. The other ones were just like histories about the land and stuff like that. This one was like a written apology letter from someone named Joy Boy, and I think this is the first instance, hi kitten, that we hear Joy Boy's name. So she later on confronts Neptune about it. Neptune tells her about how the Noah, there was something with the Noah, and Joy Boy was meant to use the Noah to its purpose for Fishman Island, but he failed, and so now the citizens of Fishman Island are all waiting for the promised day where the purpose of the Noah will finally be fulfilled, and that's what Joy Boy intended it to be. And so that was everything that she learned from Neptune, but then most importantly, she also learned that the letter from Joy Boy was written to the mermaid princess, who had the ability to control sea kings. And now Robin here, big brain that she is, because Shirahoshi has that same ability, she connects that poneglyph that she read from Skypia, that the ancient weapon Poseidon is on Fishman Island, and so she confronts Neptune. She was like, does Shirahoshi have another name? Does the mermaid princess have another title that they go by? And that's where she figures out that Shirahoshi is the ancient weapon.
Yeah, she's like big brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so all the way back in Skypia, that poneglyph that she didn't care about, that depicts the location of Poseidon, comes full circle here, where she figures out that Shirahoshi is the ancient weapon Poseidon. So that's a big moment for the series, and Robin is, of course, telling this firsthand with Neptune and sharing all the information like that.
And I really think it points to how important Robin is, like, just in general. She is the most important person in the entire story. Piecing this stuff together and uncovering these ancient secrets from the different corners of the globe.
She does not get enough credit.
She really doesn't, which is part of the reason I wish that she had more fights, or failing more fights, more instances where she could shine, like see her doing espionage more, or
which luckily Wano has a good bit of that.
It's not like she's forgotten about, it's just few and far between.
That's basically it for Fishman Island. She also shows some cool moves against the new Fishman pirates, but overall, her most important thing is revealing these very important clues to the history and the world of One Piece. So moving on then to Punk Hazard, officially in the new world, Robin doesn't really do much. We just kind of skip over these two arcs, really. I mean, there's funny moments. We get a lot more of Robin's morbid sense of humor, which I think is hilarious, especially with her interactions with, like, Usopp. She's telling Franky to never speak in Chopper's body ever. And, like, when they're captured, she jokes about how she captured them in Alabasta and they were all in a cage together. It's just funny. Moments like that.
Yeah, she definitely gets a lot of really good, solid little moments. But just overall, yeah, she's criminally underused during those two arcs. And
She, yeah.
if we're lumping both arcs together, in Dressrosa,
Yeah, we
she
can go into
does
that.
get the memory of her wiped from everybody because she gets turned into a toy.
Yeah.
And then I think it's interesting to see the implications of that because it turns back the clock in Usopp's character development because a lot of his self-confidence
This is deep theory right now.
confidence in the crew was wrapped up in the events of Enies Lobby, so to take Robin away from his memory,
Yeah.
you just kind of see the effect that she's had on the crew.
And I'd like to think that, like, in the room of authority of the 5 Elder Stars, for like a good 5 minutes, they could relax.
Yeah.
Like for a good 5 minutes, they're like,
suppressing an aneurysm, and then like,
yeah, I feel all right. And then yeah, she gets like turned back into her, like, God damn it. Yeah.
I get the feeling that like 20 seconds ago, I was about to have a heart attack about something.
Yeah.
I just can't remember what it was.
She's just so integral to the story. Like, what would happen to all of these characters higher up in the world government if her existence was erased? And then when they remember again, they're like, God damn it, I was this close to having a vacation. Now I gotta worry about where that goddamn devil child is.
I knew
Bring
I
me a
devoted
beer.
The last 30 years of my life to something, but
Yeah.
how could I have forgotten?
Yeah. It's funny. It is funny. I was thinking about that.
That's a really funny point.
But yeah, she also, because speaking of the CP0 and the world government, she's the one who spots the CP0 when they come onto Dressrosa to do what they do before Doflamingo. And, you know, she's like hiding her face. I like that meme where she hides her face from the CP0 and it's like a law-abiding citizen when the police come over. Oh god, act natural.
Yeah.
Like, why?
You walk by a police officer, oh god.
Yeah, like you're not speeding or anything, but suddenly you have to go like 5 under.
Yeah, your posture goes up, you're like looking around at everybody.
Yeah, it's funny. But yeah, she was captured by the Tentatas. She was strung along with Law's plot to try and get Caesar, but then her and Usopp got assaulted in physical ways by the Tentatas that we won't go into.
Sector B, whatever
Let's not talk about Sector B, okay?
Sector B is the best sector.
Yeah, she stood up against Treble, because when the Tentatas were defeated, when they were trying to go after Sugar and Treble right before she got erased, you know, she actually had like a cool moment there where she was like, no, the Tentatas, they're strong, brave little people. If they can fight, so can I. And so she goes with like without Usopp. And she stands up to Treble and Sugar, and she almost gets Sugar, but then, you know, she does little touchy things, so it doesn't work out. But she's also reunited with Sabo, Koala, and Hack, which is beautiful.
That's where we start to learn a little bit more about what she did.
Yeah.
Who she worked with. And
Yeah, because you don't exactly connect that at the moment, like, oh shit, she knows Sabo. Which, you know, begs the question of, did she know about Luffy and Sabo, or did Sabo just ask her not to say anything? Like, this whole time, did Robin know that Sabo, I mean, obviously, she knew that Sabo was alive because she met him, but did she know the connection? Because there was no moment in Dressrosa where she was like, oh my god, you're Luffy's brother? I had no idea. It seems like she knew. That's kind of a weird thing that Robin was kind of holding on to, but I mean, if Sabo asked her to like, yeah, this is a big deal, so just let me tell him, I'll find him eventually.
I feel like we should have gotten a scene like that where it's you know, the very anime moment of like, don't tell my brother that I'm alive.
Yeah, don't tell him. This is a lot. I'd rather him hear it from me. But yeah, she played pretty much support for the rest of the arc. She helped Cavendish and Bartolomeo. She helped Law. She helped Rebecca.
Shackled to Rebecca.
Yeah, she protects Rebecca for a good bit. But it's a pretty badass moment with her. She like did a like big umbrella thing, and she was protecting Rebecca with her body, and got all scraped up. Also, really cool badass moment before that with Hakuba. I remember shitting myself.
Yeah.
And that scene, that's one of my favorite scenes with Robin. When Hakuba is just like skittering up the sheer cliff going Sonic at her,
Yeah,
and everyone's
it's
like, oh shit.
running around at the speed of sound.
Yeah.
Got no place to go. Gotta follow my rainbow or whatever it is.
That's it. That's what Hakuba says. But yeah, then immediately she was like, oh, Cavendish. Did you need something, Cavendish-kun?
Then she calls him Cabbage too, because that's one of the things I love about Robin is she always uses Luffy's nicknames.
She
for
does.
people.
It's so cute. She calls Law Taro, just like Luffy calls him Taro or Traffy. Laffy Traffy, roll credits. Yeah, we didn't really touch this on Enies Lobby exactly, but we touched on it earlier in the video, but her bounty up to this point was from 79 million to 80 million, which is disrespectful, just blatantly disrespectful.
Yeah, that's like Chopper's bounty at that point. It's like,
right? Might as well.
After everything that happened, you're gonna bump her up by 1 million.
Yeah, like why? After seeing
why
that she's
even
an active
bother?
threat with a powerful crew? Come on. What more foreshadowing do you need?
She's not a kid. She got that bounty when she was a kid.
Yeah, which that was impressive. But you need to keep scaling it, you know, like now she needs like a 500 million berry bounty. That's what Sabo has, so like around there I think would be fair.
Yeah, well,
which I think Sabo has a little bit of a low bounty, to be honest.
Earlier, in the video, I joked about it, being less than 10 billion. But
Yeah.
like, if I were seriously considering what her bounty should actually be, it's probably at least 500 million.
But regardless, Robin should have a bigger bounty. But this is where her bounty is increased to 130 million, which is still very low, but it's better, I guess. And now we go over to Zoe. This is the best moment for Robin of the story. Very important to the series and very, like it defines her character very much. And that is, of course, Ryu. Ryunosuke! Robin has a beautiful relationship with Ryu. Ryu. As she blushes at him all the time and thinks he's the most adorable thing in the world. Which that to me is the most adorable thing in the world, but yeah. Ryunosuke was a traitor by design. He was made by Kanjuro.
Well, Ryunosuke, no matter who he was drawn by, had a heart of gold.
That's true, as Franky would remind us, existing is not a sin. Ryunosuke didn't ask for this.
He is not.
God, we're talking for 5 minutes about a drawing. Well, to be fair, I'm talking about a drawing for 3 hours now. Oh god, what is my life?
Theoretically.
Anyway, yeah, so she's able to read a road poneglyph, which I think is the first road poneglyph that they find in the series. So this is the first step of finding Laugh-Tail. Or Raft-Tail at this point, but...
We get a lot of lore dump by Nekomamushi and Inuyasha.
There's a lot about
time.
Joy Boy and all this stuff, but pertaining to Robin specifically, there is a nice moment where, again, we kind of solidify her character development and confidence in herself and the crew, where, the citizens of Zoe are like, people are gonna want to find you. If you have this ability, you're gonna have a big target on your back. But she just kind of giggles and she's like, oh, well, I have a strong crew, so I'm not worried about it. And then Luffy's like, oh, don't you? Oh, yeah, well, you embarrass us. Yeah, we're kind of strong. So it's cute to see that Robin's pretty confident in herself and the crew, like I said. The whole crew learn a lot on Zoe. And I've been wanting to rewatch Zoe because it's a nice little compact arc with a lot of information, so...
Yeah, there's a lot of setup and a lot of payoff that happens in Zoe for how short it is.
It is. It's a very good arc. It's a very well-paced arc, if I remember correctly. But we're gonna skip Whole Cake Island because they get separated, and Robin goes off to Wano. Robin is working as a geisha to try and infiltrate Orochi's inner circle, to try and get information on him, weak spots, and more information about his army and Kaido's army. And it's a really funny scene, kind of while everyone's coming together with all the information that they've gathered. Robin's really depressed. She's like, oh, well, I only learned about his daily routine, the amount of soldiers in his castle, how many soldiers Kaido has, when the fire festival is going to take place, how many swords they're going to have, how many boats they have, and what Kaido's favorite color is, but I guess I could have gotten more.
Yeah, she like finds out literally everything they need to win.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I should have got more.
Yeah. Like Conjuro, good Conjuro, you know, technically at the time. He was like, oh my god, that's everything. What do you mean? It's good to see her being put to work to what she's good at, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what we were complaining about earlier, that we needed more of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to see her infiltrating, espionage, intel gathering, you know, we see her in Orochi's mansion, sending one of her clones off to gather more information. It's just, it's her expertise.
Kagemushin no Jitsu.
Yes. Sure. But yeah, she definitely put in the work on that end. So then we go on to the raid at Onigashima. And before we go into spoilers, I mean, she hasn't really done much yet. We got her Beast Pirate outfit, which, you know, that certainly contends with Cowgirl Robin. But, you know, it's beside the point. But yeah, this will probably be the point where we switch over to manga spoilers, because the big things haven't happened yet in the anime, unfortunately. So yeah, manga spoilers now, covering up to pretty much 1037. This is your warning for anime onlys. This is your warning. So yeah, now Robin and Black Maria. Great.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? I'll let you open up with this one.
So, the first actual thing that I would want to bring up is we get finally some real payoff as to what she did over the time skip. She trained with Fishman Karate. And
yeah, Koala and even a little bit of Sabo, which I thought maybe she could learn like the Dragon Claw from Sabo, but it doesn't seem like she did, or at least we haven't gotten it yet. It's kind of disappointed in that. But yeah, she definitely has Fishman Karate on lock. At least the basic concepts of it, which is amazing. Because Koala, that's why I love Koala so much, is because she has such a unique fighting style. So now to see Robin has that too, damn.
And that opens up the possibility that she could learn from Jinbei in the
Yeah,
future.
and that connects them even more, because I love Robin and Jinbei. Like, the two more mature, Franky's older too, but Robin and Jinbei
have a very good dynamic already.
They do, yeah, they have a really nice dynamic on Onigashima together, so I like that. And yeah, that's more of a connection with them, so maybe Jinbei can teach more of Fishman Karate to her, because that would be freaking awesome.
You know that, I'm jumping around a lot, because there's just so much to say with the fight with Black Maria, but I like how she made her new form like a devil, as an ode to everybody thinking that she's the devil child.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of Chopper. Chopper's whole, you know, his grand character arc is not wanting to be a monster, being called a monster all of his life, and then finally finding his place in the world and realizing his, you know, gaining confidence in himself, and then realizing that it's okay to be a monster if you have people who accept you. And so now he wants to become a monster for Luffy and for the crew. Same exact thing with Robin here. That she's like, you know what? I can be the devil child. You want to see me be the devil child? I can get shit done.
Yeah, you want to see me be the devil child? I will break your spine.
Oh yeah. She just cracks her like a freaking nut.
Just annihilates Black Maria.
Yeah. Ugh. She like takes all of her legs with all of her arms, like she's sprouting equal amount of arms to Black Maria's legs for her spider form, and just cracks them. Damn, makes me want some crab legs.
It is brutal.
Ugh.
It is. She goes full, like, straight back to ruthless Alabasta Robin. Like, she just
is nice. But yeah, her Demonio form was perfection. Her fighting style and everything we learned about her with Sabo and Koala, that just made me so happy. So happy, because I don't know if I mentioned this, but I love Sabo and Koala and the Revolutionaries in general, and Robin being a part of that is just amazing. And not only like the actual actions of the fight, but again, we gotta talk about the theme of the fight. Wano is definitely centering down upon trying to capture Robin. Like, Lucci's now going after her. From the beginning, Big Mom showed the importance that she was like, if anything, we definitely have to capture Nico Robin. So Kaido and Big Mom sent out the orders, and so that's why Black Maria had originally done the whole thing with Sanji. We kind of got ahead of ourselves. We didn't mention the Sanji thing, where Sanji was originally caught by Black Maria, and he was forced into calling out for her help, but even though both Robin and Sanji knew that it was a trap, he had the confidence in Robin to rely on her, and she was just happy that Sanji could call out to her knowing it's a trap and relying on her to save him and take care of Black Maria so that Sanji could go on to bigger threats. It was
good character development for both of them.
I'm gonna get on a tangent if I go down it, but
Sanji never would have put Robin in danger like that. Even if it was his only choice, he would have literally died right there.
Which is what kind of happened on Enies Lobby with Nami, is he tried to fight Khalifa as much as he could. He didn't cry out for help. He didn't go get Nami. He was defeated. And that was his undoing in that moment. And then Nami eventually found him and said okay, I'll take care of it since you can't. And Nami was the one who forced herself into the fight. But in this case, Sanji was oh, okay, you want Robin? Okay. You want me to call Robin? You want Robin up in here? Your loss. That's your death sentence. She's crawling up here
with a steel chair. Watch out, watch out.
Robin. Yeah, so he was you sure you want me to call her? Okay. Robin Schwan! So it was really cool. And then, Robin just waltzes up in there excuse me, slap. Did you call me? So it was
Slap.
great.
I heard you wanted me. Slap.
Yeah. I heard you said my name, bitch.
You talking shit? Slap.
I love this. But yeah, so that was a great moment with Sanji and Robin, and I definitely had to point that out. But back to the theme of Black Maria versus Robin, Robin's growth as a character, just in of itself, because Black Maria constantly taunts her, talks about how, I can't imagine being a crewmate with you, all the burdens you must cause your crew, the government, the entire world thinks that you shouldn't exist, God, that must be awful to be you. And Robin just doesn't give a shit. Back in Enies Lobby, that Robin would have completely succumbed to those, toxic thoughts. But here, Robin's just and? I don't care.
Yeah.
Slap, slap.
Exactly. She's you're trying, so I'll give you credit, but you have literally no idea of what you speak right now.
Yeah.
Slap.
Slap, slap. You gotta get the slap, slap in there. And she's just calling her a liability, and all the while Robin's bitch, that was so 2 years ago. I'm past that.
Times.
Yeah.
We burned down that island.
Yeah. She just smirks, and she's just so confident throughout that fight that it's beautiful. Because then she wrestles her to the ground like the cattle she is. But moving on from that fight, going towards the end of Wano, we're still not there, of course, but it's definitely more insistent that the world government is after Robin now. So what we could go into some speculations as to how do you think Wano arc will end in regards to Robin, because there's a lot of theories, and I've had a theory for a while. I don't necessarily hold too tight to it now, but there's a theory that Blackbeard might show up and capture Robin. There's
that's what I was gonna mention.
Yeah, I think that's a big one.
Blackbeard showing up, because he's really opportunistic, so showing up at Marineford and everything.
Yeah, Wano would be the perfect opportunity for him after Kaido, Big Mom, and all the strong fighters are down and out. Yeah,
because we know that
no one's
he
gonna
has
stop him.
Spies in Kaido's crew, but there is a suspicious absence of a major player from Blackbeard's crew throughout this arc. They've been omnipresent ever since Marineford. They've just been everywhere. You had Jesus Burgess and
it's true.
Dressrosa, and they're just all over the place. But now there's not one in Wano. Come on now.
That might tie into Robin's arc, because I know there's been a lot of pushback against the idea that Robin gets captured again. I don't know, because I think it would be interesting if done right, and if it's something that maybe pushes the crew to the next island, though I think the next island is Elbaf, so I don't know how that would really tie in.
Personally hold the opinion that it would be much more triumphant for the crew if, you know, kind of like what happened already. Like people attempt to capture her.
Right.
Luffy shows up and like there's a big fight, like the whole crew versus the CPs that show up or whatever. But the end result is this time Robin isn't captured.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Because I do agree that it would be a little bit of a rehash. But there's a lot of rehashing in post-time skip versus pre-time skip, so...
Bring that up too. It's no secret that a lot of the story beats post-time skip are pre-time skip story beats, but twisted in some way. You know, you can twist that to fit a numerous amount of argument. I think it kind of lends credence to the fact that they won't capture her this time. The twist is that they come for her again, but then she's successfully saved. Or maybe doesn't even really need saving in the first place. Everybody just kind of fights together and...
Yeah, they just don't. They just don't capture her. Because last we saw, I think, as of these last few chapters, is the CP0 go up against Drake and Apu. And the two of them fight CP0 agents. And then Drake gets defeated. And Apu runs away. And so I don't know where the CP0 agents are now. They're probably still pursuing Robin. And then the last...
It seemed like they had a bit of an agenda besides Robin. Like, they were talking about all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, because then we get the Elder Stars in, like, the most recent chapter talking about how they want to take advantage of Wano in general and also capture Robin, you know?
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot up their sleeves. But for Robin, I hope that she's safe for the rest of the arc and we can move on from there. Because then, yeah, like we were saying, going on to the next island, maybe Elbaf, there could be a lot of connections for Robin with Saul and the Will of D. Maybe we find out another giant with the Will of D. Maybe some of Saul's clan or someone else. Because it's been a while, you know, at least the post-time skip, that we've met any D clan. I guess Law.
Yeah, Law kind of counts.
Yeah, Law was in Dressrosa. But like Blackbeard we already knew about for a while. Saul, Garp, Rouge. Yeah, so I guess Law is the most recent one, and that was on Dressrosa. So that wasn't too long ago, but, you know, in real time it's been a long time, so.
And also Law's an old character, so.
Yeah, he wasn't like a new character that was introduced. He was just an existing character that was revealed to have the Will of D. Kitten, you're...
Yeah, so that ties neatly into, you know, what Robin's gonna do in the future. Like, what the future of Robin could be. And I really, like we were just saying, I really want to see her interact with giants on Elbaf.
Yes.
And their D-clan members, 100%.
In a sentence, what do you think the Will of D is that she'll discover?
Oh, God.
When...
That's a loaded question.
I know, that's why I said in a sentence. Or how do you think, you know, her tie-in would it be? How specifically do you think Robin's going to find out about the Will of D?
Like, I think
the true
it's
history
gonna happen when she finds the true history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when they get to Laugh Tale and they start reading from Poneglyph and Gold Roger's treasure room, I think that's gonna start clicking it together for everybody.
Yeah.
Especially because we know that's not gonna be the end of the series. We know that's the beginning of the end, and I think it's gonna be, you know, the videos coming out from the Library of Ohara are probably the closest that we're gonna get without actually seeing it. So, you know, something along the lines of like, the D is they're a bunch of partiers and they want to like set the world free and you know, just have like a world where everybody's equal, kind of like Big Mom's dream, but like not insane.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I think it's going. And I
That was
think
a long
Robin
sentence.
And Law are gonna discover.
Yeah, see, that was gonna be my answer with it, is I think there's gonna be, because Law, of course, has to be in the series, always. And so with his recent reveal that he opened up to Robin about his true name, I think the two of them, because Luffy, while he's the main character and the one that we care about most with the Will of D, he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about his middle initial, he doesn't care about what it means because he's Luffy. So I think Law is that perfect character that has the Will of D and also is very interested in it and has a direct connection with Robin. So he's like Luffy but smart in this sense. Exactly. And he can travel with the crew and be in the rest of the series always and forever. Now, what's the true history?
That is
in a sentence, or, you know.
See, I'm not big-brained enough to
Kitten.
really go in like a huge theory about it. So I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna keep it basic and just say that Joy Boy probably had some sort of pirate paradise, fighting back against the governments of the time. He started some sort of cultural movement that the governments really didn't like, and then they just started like silencing people, and it eventually just led to Joy Boy's country being completely wiped out, and then the world government was formed. So I don't. That's about as in depth as I think I can get about it without really studying it as much as somebody like Ohara has.
Yeah, that's as basic as I was gonna go with it too. Like, not to get into like a full-on video about the theory of the true history, because that could certainly be done. I think just in general, definitely that the world government used many, if not all, of the ancient weapons to take over the world. I think that had a lot to do with like why the Lunarians were destroyed on the Red Line. The Red Line was probably created artificially to separate the world. Somewhere in there, killing Joy Boy and all that segregation and really bad stuff for all the people. And it really separated all the races. Because yeah, maybe there was like the ancient kingdom, maybe that was like a paradise where all the races were equal and all the races were there, but now we have like the Skypians or stay in the sky, fishmen stay in the water, people on the moon. There's also people on the moon. Lunarians were eradicated because of the world government, so I think the end result should be reversing all of the harm that happened in the Void Century to make everyone much more equal. So I agree.
Yeah, I think that's the person who Joy Boy is waiting for. I think Robin will discover that. Obviously it's Luffy, like we all kind of know, but specifically it's the person who's going to potentially destroy the Red Line and bring all the peoples together up onto the surface of the ocean.
Yeah.
Have a giant party together.
Yeah. Bink sake. Oh, actually there was one part I wanted to mention about the final war arc is, what do you think her interaction with Eam would be? Because I think Robin would be a very good, not opponent for Eam, but definitely a good person to have a talk with Eam would be.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be like a verbal showdown between Robin and Eam at some point.
Yeah, I think that would be fascinating.
If that's gonna happen, it's probably gonna happen after we know a lot more about Eam, so that Robin's gonna have a lot to say to Eam.
Yeah, do you think Eam would be in the poneglyphs? Because that was another thing that I thought, like maybe Robin, because Robin doesn't know about Eam. I don't think even the Revolutionaries know about Eam. Like, that's a big, very well hidden secret that even the Revolutionaries don't know. Maybe they found that out in the Reverie, who knows? Sabo was there. But I think Robin might find out about the existence of a true king, at least. Maybe not Eam by name, unless Eam has like the immortal surgery and like has been around for a long time. And
yeah, see, that's where I was gonna kind of go with it, because they're gonna find out about Eam at some point, so I kind of think that's a given. The real question is like, who is Eam in relation to the Void Century? Like, what would Robin have to talk about with Eam?
Yeah, so that's the last part I wanted to say about the final war saga. And yeah, I think that she might find out about the existence of a king in the poneglyphs, and then like confirm it with the Revolutionaries as they storm Marijois, which is gonna be great. But, so back to the last question then. The last question to wrap up this beautiful, beautiful Robin appreciation video is, where do you see Robin in the end game? Where do you see her after the world has come to peace? Luffy saved the world. World government is an issue. The new, possibly is Dragon the new ruler of the world? Is there a ruler of the world? Will Robin help the Revolutionaries? What do you think? Because I got some thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but I just think it would be absolutely perfect if, like, Robin's final character moment, in my mind, we get, like, maybe a 2-page spread of what each Straw Hat is doing after the war, like, after the story is fully concluded. And I think it would be fucking beautiful if she like manages to find a world tree seed and she plants it and starts a university on Ohara under the new sapling. Like, that would be so perfect.
That'd be poetic. I had a similar idea about like a university. I think that she would definitely be the head, because she's the only one who knows it, of starting to teach people how to read that language and making sure that people are aware of that, so like no secrets can be used against the people, you know, against the masses. And I also specifically thought that that would be a really cute opportunity, even though Momo is now old, that maybe she can teach Momo how to read that ancient language, since Odin died early. He never got a chance to learn from his dad that language that was passed down in the Kazukis. And maybe Robin, at the very least, would teach Momo how to read and write the language. And I thought that would be a really cute idea for him. Maybe she'll do it before Wano ends, but I doubt that they have enough time for that. Teach an entire language, probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe something will be hinted at the end of Wano for that. And then, otherwise, yeah, I think she might do whatever the Revolutionaries part in the end, she would have a hand in. Whether that's rebuilding the government or, you know, having a university, spreading the true history through like a book that she writes maybe. Sabo said when he was a child that he wanted to write a book about his adventures. Maybe Robin tells him everything and that he writes a book. That would be cool.
Yeah, maybe they can both just write books, because I imagine, you know, in order to start a university, you gotta have some textbooks. I bet Robin knows, you know, even aside from her knowledge about the world history, she probably is like one of the only professional archaeologists left in the entire world. So she's probably got to have a lot of books to write after the series.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Having a true history book, like the true history book. And just teaching people about it and making sure that history is preserved, rightfully so, that it can't be used against people. Definitely maybe going back to Ohara. I think maybe even if she doesn't find anything, like maybe there'll be some books or something. I don't know. But
yeah, hopefully
a world tree would be...
Yeah, just like hopefully she'll be able to find some books or something to help tie her back to her roots.
Yeah. But yeah, that sounds like it's the end of Robin's video now. If you're still here, make sure you like the video, because it takes a lot of time to make these types of videos, and I know Robin's video has been awaited for since I stopped at Chopper. So yeah, make sure you subscribe and you can be notified of my next video, which will be Franky. So
when's the next manga versus anime?
So make sure you subscribe. Someday. That was a lot of stuff. So in the comments, let me know what your maybe top few or top ever favorite moment for Robin is. Was it post time skip? Maybe one pre, one post. And we can talk about Robin more in the comments below. Thanks again for my boyfriend, Isaac. Again, you might have heard his lovely voice from my Twitch streaming, which also... I feel
sorry if you have.
Yeah, feel free to go follow me on Twitch. We play games and stuff with our friends, so... Yeah, this is Gaimon. Gaimon's representative here, and also Robin's representative. So it was really fun to talk about Robin with you, and I don't know how long this video is going to be, but you're welcome for not making it 3 hours.
I have a message for my fellow Robin connoisseurs, where we've gotten so much in Wano that we've wanted for so long. And it's not over yet. She's the most important character in the series, never lose faith.
She is arguably the most important character, like equal to, if not more important than Luffy. And again, thanks everyone for watching, and until my next video, until Franky's video, or whatever else happens, have a great day, follow your dreams, and check me next time. Bye!